Hello, everyone. Here we go.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Oh, that's the challenges here. Okay. But hopefully you can hear me. Oh, and now music is coming on here. Okay. Here we go. We are going to get on track here, Mark. Come on in and join in as I get my life together over here. I am excited to see y'all. Good morning, Michelle, Maggie. Great to see you live. Join us live this morning. Good morning. Come on in. Good morning, Sheila. Great to see you. All right. Let's get the technology working here. All right. And as you keep, come on in, Legacy Builders. Good morning. As always, come in. Let me know what you're drinking: tea, coffee, water, whatever your beverage of choice is. Come on in. And as you can see, we have with us Mark.
Woo-hoo.
Woo-hoo.
What a
Mark is
pleasure.
joining us live. Yes. So happy to have you here, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. It is like I said, a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I'm really excited to talk about our topic today during this Tea Time Tuesday.
Yes, yes. It's going to be a good one. I think it's really going to be a great conversation. But before we do jump into that, we are going to just remind you that tomorrow is Legacy Revealed. It all starts tomorrow. We're so excited. My goodness, I am just so excited about getting things going with the Revealed Masterclass tomorrow. Let me know in the chat who's joining us. Like in the Jerry Maguire, who's coming with me? Okay, who's coming with us?
I'll be there.
Yeah,
Sort
of course. Yes, I know you will. Good morning, Dr. Roxanne. Morning, Renee. Great to see you. Morning. Oh, good morning,
of.
Markel. Yes, yes. Everyone's so happy to see you, Mark.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Dr. Roxanne. And
So, yes, the Legacy Masterclass. Who is Michelle? Yes, I see who is coming, who's going to be there with us. It's going to be so good. And I'm just really, like I said, looking forward to really starting it all off because, it starts off with me. And as you know, if you're familiar with it, and for those who aren't, it's, Mark and I are both presenting over the 3-day time period. So tomorrow I'm leading off with a conversation about money mindset, of course, but particularly around making sure that you are intentionally and mentally ready to sustain the financial growth and abundance that you are intending, that we are all intending for 2024. So that is why definitely need to be in the room. So if you have not done so already, I want you to pause, take a moment, and register now at legacyrevealed.com. And it's in Gabrielle has dropped it in the comments. So be sure and go ahead and put that in there, legacyrevealed.com. And also remember to invite a friend because for those in the community, we have a very special prize for the member who invites the most guests. And that prize is worth over $3,500.
Mhm.
So stay tuned. We'll talk about it more in detail later on. So now let's get into today's conversation, Mark.
Yes.
Um, let's go ahead and do that. And let me check the comments. All right. So I see y'all. I'm so excited that so many of you will be joining us. Just really excited about that. So, okay, Mark, we are talking today because recently in the news, Robert Kiyosaki was, back in the news again. That's his thing. He pops up from every now and then, right? And if you don't know Robert Kiyosaki, he's the author of the #1 best-selling book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So who's heard of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Who's familiar with Robert Kiyosaki?
Yeah,
Drop it in the comments. Let me know
yeah, I'm
if
pretty
you
sure everyone in this community has heard and read his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I think the whole world knows Robert Kiyosaki
right.
at this point.
Of course. I mean, definitely legacy builders, right? The legacy builders are definitely probably
Exactly.
really familiar with the book and the concepts that he teaches in the book. They're really groundbreaking, actually. So Mr. Kiyosaki had an interview in which he discussed the fact that that he is $1.2 billion in debt.
So that is with a B. Okay, not M, with a B.
With the B. Mark, that is not a little bit of money
No,
at
it is
all.
not.
Not at all. Did anyone else hear about this news? Did anyone else see it in your news cycle that about, it was a headline, Robert Kiyosaki, $1.2 billion in debt. I'm trying to see if we're the only one that has the only one paying attention to that.
Right. Yeah, I'm checking now. I see that, lots of people are saying they know of his book or they've read his book, but no one has
Okay.
seen the article.
Okay, I see. Okay, no, just hearing of it. All right, so no, a few people have not actually heard it, was familiar with this headline and or the interview. So this is news to some people. Yeah. So yes, okay, so this is great. You're not familiar with it. So this is going to make it interesting. All right, so yes, that is the headline. Robert Kiyosaki has $1.2 billion in debt. Now here's where things get interesting, at least for me. As y'all know, I like to read comments. That's my thing. That's my guilty pleasure. Although it's not always a pleasure, but I do read comments. And when I saw the headline, I knew I had to hit those comments. Okay. That was just, I was going in there because I already knew what I was going to see. I just needed to confirm what I already was going to read. All right. I needed to confirm that I knew what I knew. So I went into the comments and then I brought it up to you, Mark, right? Because we talked
Oh, yes,
about the
you
headline
did.
and I said, Mark, those comments. And then Mark went into the comments.
Right.
And
Now,
so
I don't do comments, right? So,
which is a healthy thing. I do a comment fast every now and then. But I had to hit those comments for this one. Mark, okay, I'm gonna let you lead with this one, and because y'all know in the conversations we have here, like I talk about telling on yourself, I talk about how a lot of things we say and do really display our money mindset, our thoughts about money. So that's why we're starting off with the comments here.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to that by saying that, when we're going into these type of conversations, you really have to come in from an open mindset, especially when you're talking about someone like Robert Kiyosaki. And we'll dive into that article in more detail, but you have to understand that this man understands how money works. He understands smart money decisions. And so reading the comments, yeah, you really get a sense of those people who are open to ideas and those thoughts, and those who are still closed when it comes to understanding smart money decisions. Yep, are you still there?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. So, well, what are some of the comments that I want them to hear some of the comments. So like just
Oh, let me pull it up
read,
right here.
read just a couple of the comments. Because remember, a lot of individuals here listening, they're not familiar with this article, this interview.
Well,
And
let me
we're
read one of
starting
my
off here.
let me read
Okay.
one of my favorites here. Okay, so it says, "It's amazing to me that people still think Robert Kiyosaki, a man who is over his head in debt." Okay, let me repeat that part. Over his head in debt is a financial genius. Okay, so
Mhm.
just kind of let that sink in a little bit. Okay, this is Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, so what's another one here? The good thing is that I'm seeing a lot more positive comments from when
Yes.
we first talked about this. Let me find another one here. And Marcel, if you find one as well.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the one a couple of, they were around the fact that oh, I guess, well, I remember one was like, well, I guess he's poor dad now. He's back to being poor
That was
dad.
it. Yes.
So that was interesting, especially for where we're going to go in this conversation. So we talked about being poor dad. We talked about, or they mentioned about just, pretty much not listening to him, not taking him seriously anymore. It went what I call making a judge, passing a judgment without actually going in and getting an understanding about the conversation. And I think
Yeah.
that's like the core of what we're talking about here. Why we're starting off with the comments. Sorry, Mark.
Yes, I definitely agree that the lack of even wanting to understand, just being very judgmental without even the experience or the knowledge or even wanting to expose yourself to that knowledge, just coming from a place of criticizing. So, no, I agree
Yes.
100% on that. And that's why we want to add the knowledge to that piece.
Yes, yes. Because if we stop just where this conditioning, see, again, this is what we're going to go into our understanding around debt and wealth. These comments, and again, why we're starting off with the comments is because we want to show you how easy it is to display your actual thoughts, what's going, your conditioning, your programming around these concepts. So let's really deal with the core of what we want you to take away from in this conversation this morning. And that is that a key component to building multi-generational legacy here, and what we're talking about, what we always talk about, is building a multi-generation legacy. But a key component to building multi-generational legacy wealth is your thinking around these two concepts, debt and wealth. So your thinking around debt and wealth. And we're going to get into that more. But first, I want to ask you a question. I want you to just to think about it and write it in the comments. What do you want to be? Wealthy, or do you want to be debt free? Just what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Doing a little experiment here. What do you want to be? Do you want to be wealthy, or do you want to be debt free? Just know that there's no right or wrong answer. Just type your first thought to the question, whatever it is, to that question. All right. And I'm checking the comments and see what you put in there. All right, Mark, while they're typing, okay, I'm loving it. I'm
Yeah.
seeing wealthy, I'm seeing debt free, I'm seeing wealthy. Okay, I'm seeing a mixture here.
Can I have both?
Yeah. Yeah, some people are saying, all right, so keep typing. Mark, as
Mhm.
they're typing, I just wanted you to share a little bit more about the interview.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that really captivate me was just Kiyosaki's demeanor during the interview, and the host started off the interview by stating that, so it's recorded or documented that you're $600 million in debt, and Kiyosaki looked at him and with a straight face said, "No, I'm 1.2 billion." Like the authority behind that, like it just pushed me back a little bit. It's like, wow. Okay, no, he corrected him with a number that's far greater than what the host had stated, right? And here's the thing, when we look at that, he understands that 1.2 billion has a purpose, right? That he is, and I'm gonna dive into this a little bit more, but his understanding of the fact that the 1.2 billion is something that is not giving him any fear, concern, but he's using it as a tool, just that confidence behind it. And I'm surprised that no one really looked at that, especially those that have a negative view on debt, really paid attention to the fact that he's saying this not from a place of negative or concern or fear or guilt. No,
Right. Yeah.
so
No. Sorry. I was,
you're looking at the comments, right?
yeah, I'm looking at the comments.
They're rolling.
Look, I have to show this. Let's see. I think there's a little, I want to make sure you guys can still hear us and see us. All right. I had to pull this one up because I love this comment. Conditioning, Renee, thank you for sharing this. Conditioning and upbringing leads me to say debt free, but feeling wealthy is what I want to shift to. And okay, we're just gonna make a note on that one, okay? Because that one is a really important. I think Renee, thank you for sharing that. Look, this
Hmm.
what we're talking about here, what Mark just said, it's so important. And I think as we go into this, there, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. A lot of you said wealthy. What you're seeing some things, Mark, there. Any other sticking out to you?
I think it was Shirley. I'm looking for it, but Shirley kind of jumped into the area that I wanted to talk about when she talked about using other people's money.
Okay,
So
yes.
that one really popped. I was like, oh, okay. Now we're speaking my language, So I believe it was Shirley that said that. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking back at it too. Other people. Oh, okay. Um, so okay, well, great. So we're touching on that. And you guys are getting it. So wealthy, some saying debt free. And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. We simply want you to just express how you feel. This is what the conversation is about. How are you thinking about debt? How are you thinking about wealth? It's like, what is your thought process? So, how are you actually processing these two words and the meaning you've created around these two words? And we are really going to tackle this during the Reveal Masterclass because remember, I said a key component to building multi generational wealth is your thinking around debt and wealth, right? So, you and I, Mark, had a familiar thought when we saw the headline in the first, our first thought about it. And this is how we're going to really get into this. When
right.
we saw the headline, both of us had a similar thought. So I'll let you share that.
Right. I mean, my first thought was pretty much if he has 1.2 billion in debt, well, then how much on the other end does he have in assets? Like
Mhm.
automatically, it was just like, wow, his assets must be huge if he has 1.2 billion debt, right? That's my first thought. And you would
Yes.
think, given his knowledge, the education he provides, and everything, that we wouldn't be the only one to think that, right?
Yes, yes. And I mean, yeah, he teaches about it, but again, and that's why I brought up Renee's comment because she mentioned the key word conditioning about that. And and that's where I kind of want you, as we talk about this process, it is about shifting the conditioning. We always talk about the program and what we're taught, what we hear, what we learn. From the time we're young, we're being conditioned and programmed to think a certain way around money. And these words that tie to the environment of money. So let's talk about the debt. Let's talk about that condition. You and I knew to automatically, when we heard the amount of debt coming from a man, this particular situation, in this context, we knew to automatically, because of a wealth building mindset, to say, oh, okay, I wonder how much assets he has, if that's what he has in debt. And
Correct.
so share a little bit about where that comes from, some of the thinking around debt that will allow our mindset to shift and our minds to shift in that direction as opposed to what we saw in the comments. You know,
Yeah.
the
So, the first thing we did is with the open mindset is, as a legacy builder, is that we didn't stop at the word debt, right? Because we're talking about someone that is a master of leveraging other people's money, right? What we call OPM. And that's very important to understand and be able to control your money flow through optimizing debt, optimizing cash flow, and eliminating that fear of debt, right? And being comfortable with debt so that it's working for you, right? So when let's use an example of leveraging, because I think this is still an area that's lacking a lot of knowledge. And
Mhm.
so and And Marcella, let me add this to the question. Okay, so
Mhm.
for everyone to write in the comments, so my question to you is, if you are you in debt? Okay, if you owe 5,000, but you have 10,000 in the bank. Okay, so you owe 5,000 and you have 10,000 in the bank. Are you in debt? So let's see what
That's a
everyone
good
has to
question.
say.
Yeah, go ahead and drop that your answer in the comments. Are you in debt? If you owe 5,000, you have 10,000 in the bank. So let's touch on that. And Mark, I know you're going to touch more into this using the right terms, but as far as preferred and non-preferred debt, making it clear that when we're talking about debt, um, and we obviously in this time span we can't go into all the details of that, but I just want to get clear on that. All right. So yes, debt. Okay. So people are answering.
Okay,
What are
yes,
you
debt
seeing on
is
your end?
debt.
Mhm.
Question mark. No, not in
Okay.
debt if I have the 10,000 in the bank. Let me see. I would say it depends on what the debt is. That's a good one. I like that.
Mhm. Okay. See, I want to say, I'm on Instagram. I want to say yes because debt is debt, but the answer I think is no. All right. See? All right. No. I guess Toyota says it's a debt to them. Okay. All right. All right. I'm seeing the answers. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. All right, Mark, help them out here. This is like, I mean, I think this is a great segue into, we're talking about wealth and the conversation, your understanding around debt and wealth and your mindset. So this is a segue into the wealth conversation and our thinking around it. All right. So going back, we're going to address that. Going back to the Robert Kiyosaki interview. The interviewer asked him if he knew his net worth, and if he didn't know, and at the time he didn't know what his net worth was. And I think there was a bit more. Mark, you can go into that.
Yeah.
He was able to define it. And I think this will help individuals to understand this question. And I see the confusion around this. So let's get some clarity around what we're talking about here, Mark, especially as it relates to this conversation with Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah. So in that conversation, when he was asking for his net worth, you know, Kiyosaki defined it as, number one, he wants to make sure that he's making money even when he's not working. And as he stated, he's not working anymore. He said, I'm not working. And yet his assets bring him money that overly sustains his lifestyle, right? So, and we could look at that as passive income, but it's smart money decisions that he's making. Everything that he's doing is calculated. And let's go back to the, if you owe 5,000 and you have 10,000 in your bank account or in investments, then in this case here for Robert Kiyosaki, he understands the power he does is that he does not want to interrupt his money making money, right? Because when he pulls that 10,000 in this example out of the bank or out of that investment, you've stopped that growth in that account to pay the debt. You pay the debts, but you don't have any more growth happening, right? So yes, you have that freedom, but you've lost the leverage to now make your money work for you. And here's the thing, because somebody made the comment about, it depends on the debt, right? You're absolutely right. Because what we want to do is we want to leverage debt. Most people, they end up using consuming debt, right? They have debt to consume, not to leverage their money. And that is a fundamental difference between using debt to your advantage and using debt as your handicap, right? Your cuffs, so to speak, right? Being a slave to debt, right? Because you're now a consumer. So it's that mindset that we have to shift to leverage the debt, because what we want to do is be able to use our money to work for us. So that's giving us liquidity, right? You have the ability to have your money with you, working for you. And the other thing that we have to consider is when you give up your money to pay off debts, Well, now you've lost the ability to have opportunities, right? If something comes up that can allow you, thinking as a wealth generator, a legacy builder, how can my money be carried on to the next generations? Well, that money needs to be working for you. That means there's opportunities that you can build upon. If you don't have the capital with you to use as collateral, to use as leverage, then how are you going to continue that growth? By utilizing other people's money, right? So I'm giving you a very surface level idea here, and this is why we have the master class, so that we are able to dive into this a little bit more detail.
Yes. And again, I want to emphasize to what you're saying. We're talking about preferred debt here. Using other people's money for preferred debt and being able to use it in a way where you have leverage and everything that Mark just talked about here. And again, I'll reemphasize going into more details in the Reveal Masterclass because of the level of details that can go into explaining this concept. It's very important that you're clear and that you understand, because all debt is not good debt, but also all debt is not bad debt. And we want to make sure you understand that. And I think Mark, you can see if you're seeing the same thing that I am, that the biggest thing that we've noticed, even working with clients in this conversation, is that when it comes to debt, there is, and building wealth is something that we desire, but often debt is something that we fear. And again, that comes with all that we've seen. I mean, we see what can happen, the dangers, what people go through when they are in debt, and the struggles when we're using, non-preferred debt, using the bad debt in the wrong way that puts us in a chokehold. But we also are not taught the wealth building principles that show us how to use preferred debt to actually reach our desire. And this is where it comes to an understanding of what we want to be able to continue to teach you all. And that is, the more competent you are about wealth building principles, the more confident you will be about preferred debt principles. In other words, other people's money. So meaning, the more effort you put into obtaining knowledge and growth so that you feel capable of building wealth, the less fear of debt you will have, and instead have more confidence about your ability to handle preferred debt. That's really where it is. It's building competence so that you can have more confidence. Does that make sense to you, Mark?
Oh,
And
that
maybe
makes
everyone else
perfect.
too? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Yeah, and Ron made a comment here. Debt is debt regardless of your ability to pay it. There's debt and there's being over leveraged. And that was such a good point here, because in everything in life, you have to know your capabilities. You have to be able to move forward based on your knowledge and your understanding. So for some people, maybe this is a concept that may not benefit them because they don't know how to manage their money properly. And so creating debt to leverage may not be in their ability right now. But this is where education comes in, right? So this is not something that we would just jump into and just start using right away, right? You have to understand those concepts to make it work for you, not against you.
Yeah. That is the key to that. And thank you for bringing that up. I saw that comment as well, and I wanted you to touch on that. So this is again why you need to be in the room as time is wrapping up, because like I said, this is a lot that we can go into, Mark, really touch on this, but we do have to wrap up now. But this is why you need to be in the room for the Revealed Masterclass. I mean, we are really going to take the next few days to equip you with just all the details and the information that you need to help build that competence that we're talking about, so that you can grow in financial confidence. So it's about building the competence, and that competence comes as you grow your knowledge. Again, you grow your ability to understand the wealth building principles, and it takes constant reinforcement, and that's what being in the room is all about, right, Mark?
Oh, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I'm just checking these comments because I know I have some comments here on LinkedIn. I want to say hi to all the LinkedIn people. Thank you for dropping the comments there. Dear Rhonda, hello. Okay, so let's talk about the revealed masterclass. Mark, let me tell them, why do we need, tell them to be in the room? Why do they need to be in the room?
Because you said so. No.
All right. Mark knows. Mark knows.
That's my philosophy. Okay,
Right,
Marcelo, I'm
Marcella,
there.
I am that sister to him.
So
Mark, we need to do this.
it's all about elevating, right? If we're talking about multi-generational wealth creation, then you have to understand the concepts. You have to be, I love how you say this, in the room with the people that know how to make it happen, right? And that's what this is about. Getting there, getting people there, that we can really set a precedence so that people can talk about you. Be like, oh wow, what are you doing over there? How are you taking your family to the next level?
Mhm. Yes, indeed. So we are, like I said, we are jumping off tomorrow, and you're going to be with us at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Yep.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's the 17th, 18th, and 19th. If you have not done so already, go ahead and register. And at legacyreveal.com. Thank you, Dr. Roxanne. I truly appreciate you sharing with your community. We
Yes.
are going to have, on top of the amazing information that we're going to be sharing, we're having daily prizes because Mark and I love giving the giveaways and giving the daily raffles for those who are in attendance. You will be inspired by some of our wonderful guests that we will have joining us throughout the masterclass. And speaking of prizes and guests, I want you to remember those that are in our Legacy Builder community, that there will be a special prize for the community member that invites the most guests. Because again, that's how we do in here. We're going to have a little fun with this. And so many of you have been just willingly wanted to share. So we just wanted to be able to give back and have fun. Since you're sharing anyway, just, communicate with us who your guests are, and for whoever invites the most guests and shows up, so those guests actually attend 2 or more of the sessions, there is a special prize, and there's a video in the group that tells you what that prize is. So you have to be in the private Facebook group to see the details. We're really excited to be able to provide that. I personally am looking forward to be able to provide that prize that's worth over $3,500. So, Mark, it starts tomorrow. Are you ready? Are you
I
ready
am
to bring
ready.
it?
I'm looking forward to it, and looking at these comments here, I'm excited. I mean, I
Yes.
know I'm supposed to be paying attention to you, but I'm just like, these comments are great.
Okay. I know. I'm doing the same thing. Look at all the different comments because I really appreciate the interaction. And
Yes.
it just shows that, look, these are important conversations that we need to have around money. Money is a very large language, and there's so much that can be said around it. We are here specifically about the conversation around legacy and legacy wealth and our behavior. What does it take to develop the behavior to build the legacy that we desired? So we will continue to do that every Tuesday for tea time, but then we're taking it up a whole nother level this week for the Revealed Masterclass. Thank you for those who have already registered. If you have not yet, do it right now. Don't waste any time. We start tomorrow, and if you're not registered, you won't get the details. I am so excited. Stacy, I see your comment. You didn't receive the link. I'll make sure you get it. If anyone else is registered and they did not receive it, please get their information, let me know. There was a minor glitch, so I do need to know that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for this incredible conversation and your interaction today. We will see you tomorrow at the Legacy Builder Group Revealed Masterclass. See you tomorrow, everyone. Thanks for joining me, Mark.
Anytime.